Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling with Toxicity podcast. I am your host, Super Beard Vince Hoover. With me, as always, is my brother, Super Bro, Chase Hoover. Jason, where the fuck did that come from? Anyways, I'm tired. Leave me alone. Welcome to episode 13, Wrestling with Toxicity. Of course, as always, if you're watching us on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook, please do all that social media jargon and like, subscribe, follow. If you're over on Twitch, please, if you're feeling ever so generous, subscribe. It helps grow the channel. Also, we are on the Panda Wrestling Company Twitch as well. So if you're watching over there, please subscribe. All in all, you can also use your Amazon Prime subscription. Make Jeffrey Bezos pay for it. So whichever one you care to help, it is always greatly appreciated. Now, on to today's episode. We got 2 hours of wrestling discussion to have, and I think today it's kind of an important one. I think just for the change in landscape over the last 3-4 months now, ever since just Vince McMahon has left and Triple H has taken over. AEW's also had to make changes. Is that we're seeing more long-form storytelling. And I think that's one of, it's going to be, I think within the next year, you're going to see it as one of the biggest juxtapositions between the two companies. AEW, AEW does, extreme teasing long-form storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't build actual stories, they just kind of tease stuff, and then when it comes to fruition, kind of like the Kenny Omega Adam Page storyline.
Right.
The Jungle Boy Christian Cage storyline. This current MJF storyline. I think, actually, the current MJF storyline is probably closer to actual long-form storytelling. But for the most part, they're very fan-oriented reactionary. They just try to give the fans what they want, immediately when they want it. It's more about dream matches and dirt sheet booking versus long-form storytelling. And I think that's, people are starting to finally realize that that's hurting them a little bit, and that's why there's complaints about the booking when it comes to AEW. Whereas, I mean, Triple H and WWE have literally hired a long form storytelling director, like
Right.
literally the director of long form storytelling. They're literally going to it, but it's kind of backfiring on them as well. And this is what the discussion's about today, because currently in today's in modern society, the average attention span is not even 7 seconds anymore.
Mm-mm.
And that's all thanks to instant gratification of the internet, social media like TikTok and everything. Short form videos, where even YouTube is realizing that as much as they're trying to push long form videos, they now need to monetize shorts because people don't have the attention span to sit through long form videos all the time. It tends to be more on like a background watching or something. So that's why shorts are now monetized, getting pushed on everybody's channel. It used to be that if you wanted to do shorts, you were supposed to create a second channel on YouTube just for your shorts. Now it's the exact opposite. They want your shorts on your main channel, and there's even a category. So if you go to like uploads, it's videos, live, shorts, and that's actually I think shorts got moved in front of lives now most recently.
Yeah.
So there is definitely a correlation between the modern lack of attention span and social media, and also this instant gratification. And here's where it could backfire in WWE's faces. While these long form people have been begging for long term storytelling forever, like, oh, we want to see something play out. We want to see something play out, and it worked with the Bray Wyatt situation. But look at the Dexter Lumis situation, Dexter Lumis Miz situation. That kind of felt like it dragged on and on. Just now, finally coming, to a head. But another great example, and I think this is what kicked off the idea in my head. Everybody swore up and down that Triple H buried Austin Theory on Friday.
Oh yeah.
He buried him. Why did he make him cash in on the United States title? Why did he have him lose? He's just burying him. That's Vince's boy, and he's taking him out. Blah blah blah. Only 3 days later, we see an entire plan.
Mm-hmm.
An entire plan in place. Austin Theory is going away from the goofy selfie villain / heel, which is not a main event style heel, to a more like unhinged, focused, savage heel. And now he's going to be in a program with Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
So like people didn't even give it 24 hours to gestate in their heads. They just immediately called, like, as soon as SmackDown was over. And I thought it was weird. I'm like, why did they have him cash in on there? It just didn't make any sense. I thought that part didn't make sense. I didn't think they were burying him, though.
Right. I mean, Seth had two open challenges that night. There was no reason to cash in, to show up for the open challenge. That's what upset me about that story. I mean, yeah, Austin losing it, he's had to lose it sooner or later, either the day of WrestleMania or when the contract's coming out, or last Monday night, or things have to happen.
No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I agree that he had to lose it. I also agree about the open challenge. Like, by having the open challenge and then cashing it felt weird. Which I can kind of see the justification is like somebody else takes the open challenge, and the swarmy heel that is Austin doesn't want a 100% Seth Rollins, so he's waiting for somebody else to beat up Seth Rollins before he cashes in. I kind of get it, but
if they would have done that,
it still felt weird.
Right. If they would have done, I would have been fine if they would have done that. Like Bobby Lashley, he opens and he goes to the challenge. He goes out the ring for the challenge and stuff like that, and actually goes for the challenge and stuff like that. But they didn't even do that.
Yeah, no, it did feel a little weird, but that being said, I'm still, like, I never once thought they were burying Austin. I mean, the thing is, before he was quote unquote Vince's boy, the chosen one or whatever, he was Triple H's.
Right. He was Triple H's golf ball nephew. goofball nephew for Johnny and the
Well,
Way.
even before that, even before he signed with NXT, Triple H is the reason that Austin Theory won the Evolve World title before he came to NXT.
Nice.
That's why that final Evolve pay-per-view was on the WWE Network.
Okay.
And so it's just like, so Triple H sees a lot in Austin Theory. I believe that if you remember, he was recalled to the main roster during Triple H's health scare. So Triple H had nothing to do with that.
Right.
Like, it was done without, any consultation to him or anything. He was brought in as this kind of goofy heel, like a very mid-card heel, very like Rick Martel like style heel.
Rick the Model Martel, yeah.
Yeah. And somebody who you would never see, like, as great as Rick was, you were never expecting him to be in any kind of thing higher than the Intercontinental title.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, like, you barely, like, I think he might have won it once, but like, you never really expected him to ever win. And that was kind of the ceiling that Austin Theory had been tapped with this character.
But now.
And now, like, Triple H saw that the boy was capped, had to get him out of the Money in the Bank situation because that didn't make any sense in the first place.
Mm-mm.
Although I was actually okay with it. Like, I'm okay with like a young star getting it, but also with Roman Reigns as your champion, you have to build to a certain somebody to overcome him, and Austin Theory was not that guy.
No,
also having a heel overcome him doesn't make it. You got to have a face. Either again, like, it seems like Cody Rhodes might be the guy, or you can have, like, they're organically building a long form story of Sami Zayn being the one to overtake Roman Reigns. So that's, again, organically building, and that's where proper long form storytelling comes in. And we talked about it with Sheamus, the natural organic build to a babyface. We're seeing it with Seth Rollins.
Yep,
they're turning Seth Rollins back to a babyface, but they're allowing it to happen organically. By Monday night, I guess, for all intents and purposes, he's a babyface.
He was wrestling very babyface.
Yeah, but like, I think that it's not 100% because he's still doing the laugh, still kind of a little swarmy, and so like it's again, it's an organic build. It's long form storytelling. So like, even this is what I mean with today's modern wrestling fan, even I don't want to use the term smartest, even the most adept to the situation, understanding of long term, like the people who actually can see past their own attention span of 7 seconds. They're already calling him a babyface.
Right.
He's not there yet. He's not 100% there yet.
I'll agree with that.
Watch him come out and make a save, or watch him take on more than just one person in Judgment Day. Like, last Open Challenge, he just walked out of the ring instead of siding with the OC against the Judgment Day. He's like, I'm out of this. I'm out of this. Like, he's like, I'm not getting involved. Like, he didn't, he very much, again, he's straddling the line, and he's almost over. And I don't think he'll ever be a full-on, like at this point, I would say Sheamus full-on babyface.
Yes, completely agreed.
Like, he'll never say a bad word about a crowd or whatever, but I do believe, like, Seth Rollins will be closer to a tweener, but just more on the babyface side moving forward.
Anti-hero almost.
Yeah, kind of, like a Stone Cold. Like, he was very much a babyface, but he was still a tweener because it's like, he wasn't about, I'm here for the fans. I wasn't, it was more like, I'm here for me, but I'm anti-authority. I don't think Seth will be anti-authority, but he'll be anti-bullshit heels.
Yeah. And the thing is, as long as he's still with the drip god promo and gimmick that he's got, stuff like that, he's never going to 100% be a face. And exactly. I don't think the fans want him to be 100% a face.
No,
to be honest, I think, to be honest, the last time he was a 100% babyface was a time period with him and Becky.
Yeah,
and
it didn't work. Both of them regret doing that storyline. They wish they hadn't done it that way.
Yeah.
because it was so random and just thrown in and then done. But that's my point. So that's the old era. Now we're seeing a more this long form storytelling,
Hmm.
and I think that like in the Dexter Loomis case, I think that not only was the return of Bray Wyatt what led to this creation of the director of long form storytelling and the hiring of Ray Fee. Um,
Yeah.
I also think they were looking at like, oh, we wanted to do this long form storytelling with Dexter Loomis, and it has gone stale,
Right.
and we need help. And so I believe that's where like we need to bring in somebody to help us with this long form storytelling. So I believe that is where that like part of that comes in. And this is something that, like I said, with AEW in their case, they've had a couple, and I don't feel like they were booked in this long form storytelling. Like the Adam Page and Kenny Omega one, I think that was strictly Kenny Omega and Adam Page doing it. Like I don't think it was
Yeah.
booked. I think those two knew where this was headed, pushed for it to go this way, and granted that being that Kenny Omega is a EVP, was able to push the narrative. So I put that more on them than the booking itself. But you have the Jungle Boy Christian Cage storyline where he was by their side, and it all goes all the way back to that Battle Royal where Jungle Boy threw him out, and that was so Christian hatches his long form plan, and then the story got dragged out longer because of injuries,
And it's
which
still
is
getting drug out.
well, it's no fault of anybody's. Like injuries
Well,
happen.
no. Yeah,
So
I agree.
you have to drag it out at that point. But there's
Well,
also
no, I think at this next pay-per-view, it actually is going to become a pause. There's going to be a pause in that storyline. Just let it like simmer
what
in the background.
it feels like it, but that's also the wrong thing to do because you had this weird gap where Luchasaurus immediately joined up with Christian Cage, then
Right.
went back to Jungle Boy, only to betray him like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. That there's some questions that need to be answered, and I think that the only story truly like one of the better stories they have going right now is the fact that Nyla Rose stole the TBS championship. And that
Yeah.
was not even a booking thing. That was Nyla Rose playing a joke on Jade in the locker room and just taking a picture with it and saying she stole it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it became a storyline because it gained so much traction. Again, not the booking. That's the workers. That's the wrestlers. They did that. They made that happen. And that's something, again, we've always talked about how Tony Khan needs to take a step back, take a breath, and allow the people he has in his stead, the people he already has on the books, help him book. I think William Regal is a great long form storyteller.
Yep.
And that's why I think this stuff with MJF currently is working out well. That's the only one looking through AEW that I think really is the only true long form storytelling. Maybe the Samoa Joe Wardlow stuff, but even then that felt weird.
And maybe the Swerve Keith Lee stuff too. Maybe.
Yeah. That one's got a bit of a Yeah, that could be. That one could be. But again, it also feels like the same thing as the Jungle Boy Christian one, whereas Swerve threw Keith Lee out of a battle royal, and that started the whole thing.
Yeah, but now the story is Swerve wants to be a heel. Keith Lee's too noble and honorable to be a heel. Like Swerve's going to do.
But that's what I mean. But that's the same thing. That's the same thing that happened with Christian. Like Christian got thrown out of the battle royal and became a heel. Just took his time to extinguish his plan. Swerve showed his heel quote unquote tendencies back when he threw Keith Lee out of the battle royal.
Right.
And has been slowly becoming heel ever since. It is long form storytelling, but it's kind of the same story. And that's kind of the problem I have with AEW is that when they do like actual storylines, it's the same one. Yeah. It's like they have 3 stories and they just keep recycling them. So it's just, and there's other things like, I feel like the Blackpool Combat Club started out as this amazing thing, and now it feels almost like nothing.
Agreed.
Like,
I mean, I don't remember the last time we saw all of them on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, it doesn't. They don't act like a faction. They don't act like a group. You know, some of them come out of the face tunnels. Some of them come out of the heel tunnels.
Which I don't mind that. I actually don't
I'm
mind
not
that.
like I don't mind that, but it's just like you
Per-
gotta kind of help
Personally, for
explain
me,
something.
right? But the thing is, for me, it's this is William Regal's group. He has collected these people because he knows that they are the best fighters. Face, heel, it doesn't matter. These are the best fighters in AEW. These are the best wrestlers, and he wants them to work for him. My problem is the jointness of the group. Yes, Moxley has become face. Danielson has become heel. Cool. They
Thing
still
is,
need to
he'll
work
never
together.
fully be heel, and he
It's a
doesn't
whole
work like a heel either, which I appreciate. He doesn't work. He just works more like, again, he's very much similar to Stone Cold. It's just like I'm not a heel, I'm not a face. I'm doing this for me.
I'm a pro wrestler and I'm going to prove that I'm better than you.
Which also, by the way, like from day one, I had an issue with the heel and the face tunnels. I think that's stupid
That's classic
because
WCW.
you're telling your fans who is what, and
Yeah.
you're shoving it down their throat versus allowing them to organically dictate who's heel, who's face.
Yeah.
Um, and like
Legitimately,
when
when this company was started, I was hoping they would let the fans decide who's the heels and who's the faces.
well, it's also
You know?
like so like in the MJF case where they're kind of teasing a babyface turn with him, right?
Yeah.
Can't tease it if he comes out of the babyface tunnel.
Right.
Which I know right now he's still coming out of the heel tunnel,
Mm-hmm.
but that also hurts your tease.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, he's a heel. He's coming out of the heel tunnel. Like that, like that's why I mean, like the dual tunnel system for me has never been something I liked.
No.
I've never liked that. Like it's one of those things on paper, it's a good idea, but it's not a good idea in practice.
Right.
And but I mean, like I think AEW is again like this MJF storyline, and they're a young company. They're a very young company.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of that. And when I say young company, I mean not only young as in they've only been around a few years, also young in mindset, in that there's that very much, oh, we're going to be the anti WWE program. We're going to be the, you know, and instead of just trying to be themselves, they're worried about the competition too much.
Right.
And so they need to take a step back. And I mean, they could very well be. They could very well be, like I said, this MJF storyline. Although, like, the situation with the firm was weird, but I mean, again, it could also be the long con teasing this babyface turn, teasing it, and then boom, it was all a setup, and he's a heel, full, which is
Right.
very MJF, and I could see that happening, no problem.
Same.
So yeah, it's just like, so we're seeing kind of like in both companies, we're seeing both sides of long form storytelling, whether it works and it doesn't work,
Right.
and like I remember, like, even if like again you go back to like the video games, like in my GM mode on WWE 2K22, rivalries are 4 weeks. That's it.
Right.
There's level 1, 2, 3, and 4,
Right.
and you're supposed to cash it off at a pay per view, and then that's it. So if your rivalry starts in a weird time, and you don't hit the pay per view time, if you're at a rivalry level 4, but you're not to a paper, like say you hit rivalry 4 for some reason the week after the pay per view, like you just
Right.
your timing was off on how you booked it. You've then got 3 weeks where you cannot book those two against each other because it's stale and the fans revolt, and you have to wait to the pay per view to pay it off. But then, if you don't have them work together or work something, their popularity goes down. So it's a weird, and it's like, so you only get 4 weeks to tell a story. Like you could do a
Right.
52-week GM mode, and you would love to have somebody book a story from week 1 to week 52, but you can't.
Really.
Yeah, it doesn't work. So, like, even in the game, which obviously came out before Triple H took over,
Right.
long form storytelling consisted of a month. And, like, that's not long form storytelling.
No.
But in pro wrestling, it kind of is, and that's something that people, like they need to
I
get
wouldn't say
away from.
right. And the thing is, I wouldn't even say in pro wrestling. I would just say in media, period. As we were saying earlier, it's instant gratification. It's quick stories. It's here's your attention, grab it, and here's the end type of situations now. Um, People are just like, okay, give me, give me, give me now, 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 and I want to know the end before I go to sleep tonight.
Yeah, binge culture.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
And
people want to like people get pissed when like Stranger Things didn't come out all at once and they had to wait a week, per episode, or
right.
like the new Marvel Disney Plus series. People are, there's some people bitching about it being, weekly instead of all at once, and it's crazy to me.
You also gotta realize that we grew up in a time period where it's like if you did not see a TV show when it was on TV at that time, you missed it. And you would hope that next year the reruns would start and you could see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're used to that. Okay, wait patiently.
Yeah.
That's why I was not mad at the Austin Theory loss. I thought it was weird. I thought it was done incorrectly, but I wasn't mad at it. I didn't think Theory was getting buried.
Yeah. Well, I think again, that goes down to the marks. This goes down to where people like think they know wrestling even though they never have done anything in the business, trying to
Right.
use industry terms like burying and botch and jobbed out
Right.
and all that, all that
You know,
stuff. Like
the people that have the only ropes they've bounced off are the ones that are in their couch.
they literally just it's a matter of people not understanding how things work. People also like equating things to things they've seen in like instead of understanding this is a new era and a new time, they just immediately and it's also the people who just want to shit on everything just to shit.
Right.
Again, the toxicity, the stuff that we're trying to combat here. People need to understand like you gotta have some form of patience. Gotta understand that it happened at the end of a show.
Mm-hmm.
End of the show. Credits rolling. End of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see the fallout before we decide to say somebody's buried. Now, had Austin Theory not been on the show and been gone for weeks and only been on main event or something, or whatever, or put into an
Level
even
up.
goofier,
Yeah.
like an even goofier role,
Now
then
the
I could
goofy
see things.
right. The goofy role thing, I would have given it a little bit of a chance because maybe he was going back to more of that NXT the way character that he had before.
Yeah, but there's a ceiling on that.
Yeah.
You're
Again,
not going to see
you're
that
correct.
guy. You're not going to see that guy do more than win a tag title. And right now on the main roster, there's no winning the tag titles. So it there's a huge ceiling to that. I mean, that's why like Kira Tozawa, after getting the crap beat out of him by Baron Corbin on that, he went on Twitter and basically said goodbye. Put a picture of his ninja costume and said goodbye to it because he's going away from that goofy character.
Yep.
You're gonna see him go back to being just a wrestler, and like
Now, mind you, that was a good match between him and Corbin. He got a lot more offense than I thought he was going to, and he looked good doing it, which means to me he's going to go back to that whole, what was his outfit? Like a white and red shorts and
yeah,
outfit.
yeah,
So,
gonna go back to
and I'm
just being a wrestler instead of a goofy ninja character chasing a 24/7 title, which is now no longer in
gone,
existence.
which I'm kind of sad with, but
I am too. Like I didn't like the design of it, but I thought there was something to it, and if you did it right, like because there is a place for goofy wrestling in wrestling, I think it needs to be there. I think it needs to have a
yeah,
place, and by giving it a title, and like our truth really made that title and did the best with it. So there was definite merit there, and I'm kind of sad to see it go, but like I know there's a lot of push now from the women's locker room to get their own mid card belt, like a form of a women's intercontinental title or something like that. I think we need to like instead of adding more titles, let's focus on like let's build up the tag titles. Let's get those going,
Yeah.
and then we can add to it. But we've got one hell of a roster. Where there's also rumors that like Chelsea Green and some others are coming back. So
Yep.
there's going to be a roster set where you can do a mid card title for the women.
Mhm.
But let's like get it built up.
Let's make what we have solid. Let's give them that keystone to stand on, so
And
the
that's
rest
long
of the
form storytelling.
right, and that's what's needed, and I think that's what AEW and their 22 belts are now finding out. You know that
Um,
if you don't have that keystone to stand on, everything will fall apart.
yeah. But there is a downside to long form storytelling, and we're kind of seeing that with like Mustafa Ali right now, because it feels like he's not getting like they looked like they were starting to push him, but now that they're transitioning Seth to a baby face, it doesn't make sense to have Mustafa Ali. So they've like I feel like sometimes a story can implode on itself when it's a long form storytelling, and that is the downside to long form storytelling because it doesn't always work, and in telling a long form story, it makes it a little bit harder to get out of. And
Right.
that's I think what's happening to Mustafa Ali. Because also, and something that I think that's been done really well for the most part since Triple H come back, is the blending of storylines.
Yes,
Like
I completely agree with that one.
Judgment Day was in like three separate storylines blended together, and then like now we have like the Judgment Day and Seth Rollins and the OC, and now Damage Control and Bianca Belair and Alexa and Asuka. They're getting it blended into it because Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley are joining the teams, and
Quick question for you.
mm,
In legitimate honesty, do you feel like Alexa Bliss is just in the background of that group? Like
no,
it,
I don't think so. I think she's at equal level with Asuka behind Bianca. Bianca's still the forefront of that. But I don't think Alexa's in the background. No,
because
no
it
more,
just
no more so than Asuka is to Bianca Belair, the star.
okay. Because to me, it's also feeling like they dropped a lot of her storyline with Bray and stuff like that.
They haven't
But it's
dropped
only
it.
been
They still keep teasing it.
well, there was nothing on Raw at all. Nothing.
Yeah, but you barely saw Alexa anyways.
True.
It wasn't like she
Um,
came out and cut a promo or it was seen in a huge interview backstage. It was just that moment. It was all about Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley. It
right.
wasn't about anybody else. So it didn't make sense to throw that in there, pull away from the fact that Mia Yim was joining the group.
You know what? It may just be me. I don't know. I've always been a huge Alexa fan. Back in her NXT days and stuff like that, huge
Yeah,
Alexa fan.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
But for some reason, right now, it just feels like they're trying to reset her to be more of that mix of the goddess and whatever Lily was,
Yeah,
and they're at a stall point right now.
it's not. So, it's kind of a stall point only because they have this war game story they want to do, so they don't want to pull too much away. I don't think we're gonna have her like turn on them at war games or anything like that. So I think they're
Right.
gonna get through war games before they take it any further. Um, I did find it interesting that L.A. Knight is the first person for Bray to go after,
Well,
and
I
also the
like
fact
it.
that he went after him at first to kind of recruit him. I thought that was weird because they don't the I don't think like looking at L.A. Knight like that's not a person I would think that Bray Wyatt would be like, yeah, that's a guy that I can manipulate into my group. That's a guy I can look at and go, he fits what I want. He's an egotistical character. And my only thought process there that like kind of justifies it is the fact that he was Max Dupree for a bit, and then it's like, no, that's not who I like. And it was like, oh, this guy's got multiple personalities too. And but like I don't know, like but again, I'm not completely shitting on the story because it just started. I need to see where it goes.
Right.
And I'm sure LA Knight and Bray Wyatt will have a great match, which
I
I'm thinking they're
cannot
building
wait.
up to something at Survivor Series.
I cannot wait for the in ring promos with those two.
Yeah, I
That is
mean
gonna be
that in and
amazing.
of itself will be fun, but it's also like I think it does. It's a good way to also elevate LA Knight. I think.
Which he needs. Honestly, he needs. You
Yeah,
know,
I think
he
LA Knight is a main event contender. I think that he's somebody who could be the guy's a hell of a worker. He's a fantastic promo. He has his character down pat. I think he's somebody who could be a main event, even like an intercontinental champion kind of level. Not that I think he'll be the one to beat Gunther, but I don't know who you have beat Gunther. But in all honesty, I think it's harder to pick somebody to beat Gunther than it is to beat Roman Reigns. Um,
especially now that you've got Gunther's past in NXT UK in there.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like
That's
you just like there's so much there. It's hard to
they
like kind of imagine
like
what they're gonna
Gunther.
do.
Gunther to me is one of the type of people that, with the adding of the history and the past and stuff like that, you've made this man a monster, a full-fledged monster.
Yeah, and just like these incredible matches, and you have Imperium there.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it just like I don't like. To me, Sheamus was kind of the only one to me that it made sense.
At the time,
And
yeah,
maybe
at the
when
time,
he comes, like maybe when he comes back, because there's the kayfabe injury, and he was actually on his wedding and honeymoon.
yeah.
So maybe coming back, we get to see down the road that Sheamus finally wins the Intercontinental title, the ever elusive Intercontinental title for him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's a weird one, but again, like I feel like there's it again long form storytelling. Like when Gunther first won the title, we wouldn't have talked about well, who's gonna beat Gunther. Like you're not, but they've done such a good job in these
Mm-hmm.
matches and how they've portrayed him. This is like who beats Gunther
Who
now.
and and pre Triple H taking over, it would have been Win,
Mm-hmm.
because there's reports out there that they were going to bury Gunther, like he was going to
I
bury
don't.
Gunther's.
Yeah, I don't. Again, let's don't
It's
listen to
one of the
that
dirt
shit.
sheet. It's a dirt sheet thing, and I understand that and stuff like that. But it's something to think about that could have been.
I don't think he was going to be buried. Again, I don't like even using that term. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I think that he would have had the championship for like 2 or 3 months, and then somebody would have beat him for it. But the
Right.
story would have just been like it would have been nothing. Like it wouldn't have
I mean,
been built up the way it's been built up now. And I think
it
that
would have been. It would have been honestly. It would have been some American coming in and beating him up. Some American wrestler. It's the classic Vince McMahon, defeat the foreigner storyline.
yeah,
But now we're sitting here going, if not Sheamus, then who? It's
yeah,
like with Roman.
yeah.
If it's with Roman, if not Cody, then who?
Well, I think that there's actually more contenders to beat Roman Reigns than there is to beat Gunther. One again, you've organically built this Sami Zayn storyline throughout the bloodline.
Right.
And that was something that like Triple H didn't start, but he was able to turn around into something amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so you got the Sami Zayn one. Of course, you've got Cody.
Yep.
But you've got other people between now and WrestleMania you can build up. The only thing is if you get The Rock to come back at WrestleMania, you have to do Rock versus Roman. So
Right.
that could put a
That,
bit of a
in my
pinch.
opinion, Roman, if Roman has the belts, it's a foregone conclusion what's going to happen. If he doesn't have the belts, then that puts a lot more intrigue on the Rock versus Roman match.
I think no matter what, Rock loses. No matter what. I think that because it's about Rock helping build Roman up even more. That's the kind
Right.
of like if Rock wins, Roman's no longer head of the table.
Right.
Because it's a family thing. And so like that just kills his character if he loses. Like so to me, no matter what you do, no matter how you build it, it's a foregone conclusion that Roman wins because if he doesn't win, it kills everything he's built over the last two. It's like, oh,
I,
you're not actually the head of the table. I'm the head of the table. I'm the Rock. I'm the one who puts, you're nothing. It kills his character. So no
mhm.
matter what, Roman wins.
Right,
However, but I also don't think you don't end this historic title reign anywhere but WrestleMania.
right.
So if you get The Rock,
Which is a if.
yeah, because his schedule is insane, and I know he wants to do it, but it's hard to get him. You then don't have like, unless because WrestleMania is 2 nights. On night one, there's a championship match, or there's two. Okay, not saying they'll do it this way, but there's if you get The Rock, you could have The Rock versus Roman headline night one.
Hmm.
Rock loses, Roman wins. Then night two is headlined by the world champion or the unified universal championship match. But The Rock comes out to stop the bloodline from interfering, making it a true one-on-one, and then the person wins.
Right.
Um, that's a possibility.
That's a possibility.
Other way around is that night one is the championship match. Roman loses. He's pissed because again, The Rock came out and stopped the bloodline from interfering. But that makes the feud. It's a family feud situation, but you only have one night to build it. So I think
Mhm.
that you have that match first, and you build it the entire time. It's like, when The Rock's like, I'm not here for your titles. I'm here to put you in your place. I'm here to put, let you know you are not the head of the table. You are not the one running this family. We are a family. We do it together. Um, that's something you can build to. So like you make sure you make it very clear that yes, this fight's going to happen, but it's not for the title.
Yeah.
Rock is not coming back to win the title. He obviously doesn't have the ability to have any. If he won the title, he'd have to immediately forfeit it because he can't defend it ever because his schedule. Um,
I think Rock has changed from just a part-time wrestler. Now he is that like Bad Bunny and one-time show superstar type thing.
and the
So
current rumor, and again, this is all dirt cheap stuff, so I don't really but the current rumor is that apparently Stone Cold has been offered yet another match,
yeah, the
which
man did a workout video.
like. I mean, as much as I'd love to see him come back, do you want to like? Is it going to be an Undertaker thing where like
He should
you
have just stayed
have
away.
you have that final match, but like it wasn't the one you wanted, so then you keep coming back. Then you have like a shitty ass match. Like, well, shit, now I got to come back because I can't leave on that note, and it ends up getting drug out. Which, granted, the Boneyard match, um, phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
Like,
him
so
and
well
AJ.
done, and the
Yeah,
fact that we did get AJ versus the Undertaker, well done.
right.
But like, I do like that was stretched out. His career was stretched out like 5 years longer than it should have been,
Honestly, yeah.
and so like I don't know, like that's my concern with Stone Cold. Like what he did with Kevin Owens was great
And that should be the
and
end.
a proper send off. Like so, I mean, granted, I'm sure there are plenty of people he could work with that would be great to I don't know. It's just it's a weird thing, and I'll never tell somebody that if he feels he can come back and do it, then
Right.
more power to you, to Steve. I'd love to see you. I can't wait to hear the glass break.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. But again, going back to the long form storytelling, this is where like in the Roman Reigns situation, like because like you have this Sami Zayn seed planted in there.
Yeah.
You could have a returning Kevin Owens save Sami, leading to a tag title match, them being the ones to take the Usos down.
Hmm.
Which, as much as you are kind of building to Sami being the one to dethrone Reigns, they're really building him and Jimmy or
Oh
Jay.
God, yeah. Yeah.
They're really building to him and Jay. So that's something like you
I think I
and
would
that's
rather
and that's where you build you can have the turn happen at the Royal Rumble or just after, where they turn on Sammy,
Right.
and then Kevin Owens makes a save, and that builds to WrestleMania, where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn go after the tag titles and beat them, say night one. Um, and then you have The Rock and Roman Reigns night one. You know, the bloodline does interfere. Roman wins. So on night two, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn help stop the Usos. The Rock stops Solo, keeping it a true one-on-one for, you know, Cody and Roman, if that's the way they're going to go.
Right.
So, yeah.
I just need to see Cody again. I need to see Cody.
I'm
need to
sure
see-
I'm sure with Cody in Cody's situation, they're kind of obviously they want him to be completely healed, but I also think that they're like at this point they're kind of like, let's wait it out till the Rumble, have him come back at the Rumble, have a big pop at the Rumble.
Let's make a moment.
Yeah,
But the thing is, unlike with AEW's moments, that WWE moment will lead to a story.
yeah, that's been a problem in AEW where somebody comes out in this big moment like the Joker slot or something, and then nothing. Like, you know, look at Ruby Soho. Look at, you know, what happened with Leon Rush twice.
Yep.
Uh,
Twice. Yep.
yeah, Leo Rush. Sorry, Leon Ruff
Okay.
is the other one.
The
Leon
Heat.
Ruff is also there.
Yeah.
Leo Rush. It happened to him twice.
Yep.
Um,
And I think I have a feeling the same thing would have happened to Tony Storm too, had Thunder Rosa not got hurt.
possibly.
You know.
It's just, but that doesn't come down to long form storytelling. That comes down to an overinflated roster,
Right.
really. So, I think at the end of the day, it's hard to justify a lot of things. I don't want it to seem like I'm always shitting on AEW because I think there's a lot of talent there and there's a lot of good stuff there. I think that they are moving, like, there's this thing with the Elite right now going on that's been kind of being teased about
Right.
them kind of like being deleted or whatever, and like it's like that to me feels a little weird as a storyline, but at least it's a storyline.
I don't think it. I think it's they're kicking back there right now after what happened with Punk, and they're going, okay, we need to decide if we're going to be EVPs or wrestlers.
Well, regardless, I think
And
making that bullshit backstage melee, which hurt the company a lot, into a storyline, I think is like the fact that AEW tries so hard to make everything a work shoot is very
Yeah.
Vince Russo and very not good.
yeah,
So that kind of stuff needs to stop. So I think it's kind of still a little too soon to use that. Like if the Bucks and Omega were gone for like a year or maybe even like 6 months, then maybe. But it feels like it's like, oh, this is too soon to like try to turn this into a story.
right.
Especially since I'm sure there's going to be litigation coming up involving Punk.
Maybe
We know how Sue happy he is. So
we'll see. I mean, he's already making TV appearances on some MMA thing, so. But whatever. It's a good commentary. Speaking of AEW and Full Gear, which is their next pay per view and stuff like that, would you like to talk about that pay per view? Oh, excuse me, Premium Live events.
well, no, for
And the
them it's a pay
matches.
per view. It's a pay per view for them
Okay.
because you still got to. It's pay per view. The only reason they changed WWE's is because you're not paying per view. It's a premium live event because it's just part of the network.
Right.
Honestly, I don't even like, and that's the thing. Like, I don't feel like they're building it up very well. I don't even know what's happening in the card.
I can tell you if you'd like.
Yeah, we'll go over that.
All right. Okay. So
Well, before we get into that, we'll do that in the 8 o'clock hour.
8 o'clock hour. All right.
Yeah, we'll cover that in the 8 o'clock hour. But let's finish up on a long form storytelling.
So back to the whole Ms. Loomis thing. To me, that feels like, okay, we're going to do something. Wait, that's not working. Let's try something else. Oh crap, this is going on too long. Let's try something else. And now it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, we're going back to what we originally were doing to finish it off. So I don't think it was
I
purposely supposed to be long term booking. I think it just accidentally became that.
Well, no, I think it was always going to be long-term booking. I think that was always the plan. I think Triple H is a big fan of that. However, I think he put too much. I hate to say it, I'm not trying to shit on the WWE writers. I think he put too much faith in them, though, and the story went stale, and that's why this director of long form storytelling was brought in.
Right.
I guess he was brought in with Bray, but I actually feel like it is the Dexter Loomis story that was like, we need somebody to kind of oversee this kind of stuff who has experience here, whereas these writers have been writing for so long under the Vince McMahon umbrella of like 30 minutes before the show rewrites and
Yeah.
stories changing week to week that they're not accustomed to it, and so it went stale. And so now it's finally becoming a full-fledged story. Like I feel like maybe they like the other part of it was like these writers make stories and don't worry about an ending because half the time it gets like it gets thrown out anyways.
Right.
So they, having to write things with endings might be a little bit like, oh, this is foreign territory for us now. We actually like are gonna see this through. And so it could have initially just been Dexter Loomis goes after the Miz. They're gonna have a match and that brings them into WWE. But then they're like, well, no, we want to do something a little bit. We don't want this to be so quick and da da da. And they're like, well, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Now we finally have somebody that's like, oh, we need to do something with it, and we can incorporate Johnny Gargano because he knows both of them. He knows the Miz. They grew up in the same city. He knows Dexter Loomis from his time in NXT.
Right.
He can, it'll help give him something to do until we are able to move him into a title picture eventually. Da, 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 da. And then of course there's the Tommaso Ciampa factor. Once he comes back, who does he side with? Yada yada yada. So it became something, and it's going to cultivate at Survivor Series. But like, I did find it weird that here's a guy who doesn't have a contract, and yet after he beat up the Miz Monday night, his music played.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're still ironing out the kinks of this long form storytelling situation as well. But also, that's just wrestling.
Yeah. And the thing is, nothing's ever going to be 100% perfect.
Yeah.
So it's and as much as I hate to say it this way, I'd rather have bad storylines than no storylines like it over in AEW. And yes, I am a fan of AEW. I am a fan of the talent. I am a fan of the matches. I am not a fan of the here's my toy box. Let's get these toys, throw them all together, and make moments. That seems to be what AEW is doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always been my issue with AEW is just the fact that they don't. It's more just about dream matches than it is about story. And I've always been a big story guy in wrestling. And
Yep.
I know that not everybody is, which is why AEW is preferred by some people to WWE because they prefer just to see the matches. But
and
also,
we're not, and honestly, we're not saying that's it. That if it's for you, if it works for you, cool, go for it. It just doesn't work for us.
well, also my issue is I'm in telling a story. By having a story to back it up, you can tell a story in the ring.
Right.
When you don't tell a story in the ring and it's just move, 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 that's cool for highlights. It's not cool for a wrestling match. I believe that ring psychology is a lost art nowadays, and it needs to come back. So many people just is just like, how many high spots can I fit into a match? And I
Right.
get that a lot of these people come from the indies where you don't have even the time or ability to tell stories because you're traveling from town to town to town. So you may not be back in that town for months, if ever.
Mhm.
So I get it, and it is all about just that one match. But ring psychology has been lost on this modern generation of wrestlers, and I think that that's why people like Danielson and Claudio and Regal and people like that being there is helpful because they get ring psychology better than
Mhm.
anybody, and I think that's most important.
I also think that's why having in WWE having NXT is also helpful too, because then you can get used to the long term. You can get used to the ring psychology. You can get used to all the things it means to be on the same exact show week in, week out.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And so I just there's for me it's like I guess the best way I can describe it is that with the WWE I watch what happens in between the matches as much as I watch the matches. In AEW I tend to end up wanting to fast forward through the in between stuff because it doesn't matter.
right?
And like I watch it because I want to see if there is going to be a story, but 9 times out of 10 it doesn't feel like it's anything that's concrete or anything like an actual story. And
Right.
then like I said, ring psychology in a lot of these matches goes out the window. There have been some good matches with great ring psychology lately. Like I do think there is a shift going there, and I think that's good. Um,
It takes time though.
well, it wouldn't even. Well, it takes a little bit of time because you got to teach guys who don't know much about ring psychology.
Yep.
But I think that if you get to a point where you start telling stories versus just dream matches, it will come. And we're starting to see that now more and more. Hopefully, we can continue to build to that. We're
We
going to
hope.
take a short break, run some ads, and we'll be back, and then we'll discuss the Full Gear pay per view. And we are back.
Woohoo!
So the next pay-per-view coming up for All Elite Wrestling is the Full Gear pay-per-view.
Newark, New Jersey.
That is on this Sunday?
Saturday, the 19th.
Saturday.
Yep. Oh.
So that's coming up. Of course, headlined by the Moxley MJF championship match.
Yep. So this is the cash in for the poker chip.
Yeah.
So is this kind of like Money in the Bank for AEW then?
Yeah, it's their version of Money in the Bank. You know, but he's doing the John Cena route of letting them know when he's going to cash in, because he could cash in at any time he wants to. He can surprise him so much. It is exactly like Money in the Bank,
Right.
except for they have this ridiculous, oversized poker chip instead of a briefcase to carry around.
Okay.
But yeah, so this will be his cash in. So we'll get to that, but let's start.
Luchasaurus versus Jack Perry. Steel cage match.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if Christian gets involved, Jungle Boy loses.
I honestly
extending
think
the story, but
no. I honestly think this is going to be Luchasaurus shows he is a straight up full on heel now. He's going to be heel for a while, but Jungle Boy wins.
It see, this one depends to me on if they're going to extend the storyline or not. If they're going to continue the Christian Cage Jungle Boy storyline, I think Jungle Boy loses here. If this is meant to be kind of the send off to it because Christian is still injured and can't come back, then Jungle Boy wins. And it's hard for me to tell. I'm gonna say I'm just gonna pick Jungle Boy loses.
So Lucha to win.
Yeah, I'll pick Lucha to win just because I think that Christian Cage will get involved.
I honestly think Jungle Boy is going to win. There's something telling me that this is going to be the soft end to this. You're going to give the crowd what they wanted, and after Christian Cage is all healed up and ready to go, he's going to do something dastardly and dirty, and is going to basically reignite this storyline.
Okay, I can see that.
All right. So next match: Jeff Jarrett versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal versus Sting and Darby Allin.
By the way, I find this incredibly funny.
What?
Because
Jeff Jarrett? Yeah.
Well, no, I mean the Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal tag team is what was brought in for Ric Flair's final match.
Yeah.
For the 5th time or 6th time or whatever. But his final match. But now they're doing it like Sting and Darby Allin. It's Sting and Darby Allin. Like that, it just whatever. Like it's just that match will happen. Sting and Darby Allin win. I don't care.
I don't completely agree with you. Honestly,
I don't care.
It's Jeff Jarrett was brought into the company for some backstage role, and I guess part of his contract is the fact he gets to wrestle a couple matches a year.
Yeah, I don't care about this one at all. I'm over Sting. I love Sting to death. I'm over the Sting and Darby Allin team. I'm over Darby. I've never liked Darby Allin at all, and that was before I found out what a piece of shit human being he was. I've never liked him.
He's suicidal.
He's just stupid. He's just stupid. And then when I found out how much of an absolute piece of shit human being he was, it made it even worse. I don't care about him. I think Sting. I get why Sting is with him, and Sting has done some crazy shit in the '60s in AEW. I don't care about this match. I just don't. So whatever, Sting and Darby Allin win.
Yeah, they're not going to give, and which is for me, which is upsetting because I'm a huge Jay Lethal fan. I mean, back in the
I
Impact
am
days, stuff like that,
too. I mean, he's
and
kind of an asshole. Like I worked with him a little bit at his wrestling school,
right.
and he's kind of an asshole. But he's a purist and doesn't have the best people skills. Um, I still like him. I still think he's a hell of a
Right.
worker. I still think he's a hell of a talent. I think he's completely wasted.
All right. So
So
next we've got Britt Baker versus Soraya.
that's an easy pick. Saraya wins. There's no
I
way she comes back after all this time off and doesn't win the match.
really, if you're
She's
that
not gonna.
confident behind.
She's not gonna be full time. If she was a full time worker, wrestling, on Dynamite or Rampage every single week, I could maybe
Okay.
see them pulling the same thing they pull with Ruby Soho, where she loses to Britt Baker. Britt Baker doesn't need the win.
I don't. I would disagree with
You
that. I think
don't.
she does. I
She
think she
doesn't
does
need.
need
She
the
doesn't
win.
need the win. She has enough stuff built in. She is the cornerstone of that women's division. She doesn't need to win. You don't bring back Saraya, however you pronounce it. You don't bring back Paige after
Right.
all this time off. Make a big deal about her coming back, her finally being medically cleared, and then have her lose.
I can
If you,
see. I
that's stupid.
no. I agree.
You
I
want to talk
agree
about
completely.
sending fans home? You're
Pissed.
talking about the
Yeah.
Jungle Boy. Like, oh, we're gonna give them a soft ending and send him home. You're just gonna shit all over it. The whole night is ruined if she doesn't win. The fans are gonna check the fuck out halfway through the card if she loses.
I can see that very easily. Okay. Next we're gonna do Cargill versus Rose.
This is one of the this is a storyline that was built organically by the workers themselves
Yep.
via Twitter and just a joke. They were able to convert into a storyline. Good for Nyla Rose for getting back on the card
Yep.
that way, but she loses here. Jade Cargill keeps her undefeated streak, gets her title back.
As
Nyla Rose, Nyla Rose is not the one to beat Jade Cargill.
no,
I
I
do
don't think
believe
she
it.
is.
Whenever
I don't think
Chris
she's not.
Statlander comes back, Chris Statlander will be the one to beat Jade Cargill finally.
So we both agree on this one too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of Nyla. I really am. Hilarious. Like I watch some of the stuff she does with the gaming channel they've got with Evil Uno and stuff like that. She seems like a realest person out there and stuff like that. But right now,
I got to interview Nyla Rose at New York City Comic Con 2019.
nice.
She's awesome. She is incredibly funny, incredibly awesome. And good for her for making this work and getting herself back on the main card. Instead of working dark in Elevation, she is another. She's technically a pillar. Like she should
She
be
is.
pushed more. So yeah, but yeah, Jade Cargill wins.
Jericho versus Danielson versus Claudio versus Guevara. This is for the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Yeah, I think that this they've kind of been trying to push Sammy as a baby face again. And I
Not going
think
to
that
happen.
I also think it's a ruse. And I think that it'll be the same thing that happened with because again they recycle storylines. Same thing that happened with what's his name, Danny Garcia.
Okay.
I think Jericho walks away with the title. I think Sammy Zavara helps him walk away with the title.
Legitimately, this is going to be one of the first times on this pay per view that I'm actually going with my heart rather than my head. My head says Jericho. I agree with you completely. My heart says Claudio.
Claudio should have never
Like,
lost it in the first place.
agreed.
It was all about
Um,
now that Chris Jericho's in a much. He's kind of pulling an EVP move, and now that he's in a bigger position backstage. And if you listen to Jericho talk lately about it, he basically talks about AEW as his company, and and by his company, like he runs it and this and that, and like it's gotten to his head, and I think that I used to be friends with Jericho, but he's really fallen off as of late and gotten even more egotistical. Like every wrestler is egotistical in a sense,
you
but
got to be to do that job.
but he has gotten even more egotistical, and I don't think he'll lose the championship. I think that Sammy Guevara will help him. Help him. He'll turn and he'll help him win. Yeah.
I I I I am a huge Claudio fan. I am a huge
I am
fan
too. I
from
think
his.
he's one of the
Like,
best.
honestly, I don't understand why in WWE he could not get the push that he deserved. It, it's long story short. I'll go hard on that one. All right, so Storm versus Hater.
Storm wins. Hater gets screwed over by Britt Baker.
Okay,
I think Britt and Reba come out with her. Britt's mad over what happened with Paige, but goes to help Hater and screws up and helps Tony on accident, leading down to us finally getting to something that they were building to and then let go. The match between Hater and Baker.
let's see. All right, so we don't know if the order they've got the matches in is actually how they're going to happen and stuff like that.
No, but you don't have. I think that championship's up close after the Soraya match. So
I don't.
I do.
I think Soraya is a bigger pull than that championship right now.
I kind of feel like they may even open because of the
To-
pool of Paige. Like I think that because you have such a massive main event, I think you put them first.
Okay,
So I
because
do think it happens before the championship match. And that's the
honest,
thing. Like as big of a pull as she is, and I'm giving Tony Khan a lot of credit here. You don't unless Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter open, they need to be near the top. Your title should be near the top.
agree.
And in fact, the order we have listed that I'm looking at on Wikipedia
So am I.
feels like the best order for all of it because it is
Agreed.
mostly championships. So I don't think you open with a championship match because you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 championship matches and a tournament for a championship spot match.
Right.
You only have 3 matches that are not championship matches. So I think you put those on first.
Get them out the way.
Yeah, and then you run a championship gauntlet kind of thing on the rest of the pay-per-view.
Now, if this was in the WWE and it was Vince's time and stuff like that, I could see these 3 non-title matches actually being put in different spots to give people the P break. Basically, they become, as much as I don't want them to be, those would become the P break matches.
Yeah, I actually think unfortunately, I think the TBS championship match becomes the P-break match because people are kind of like, as great of a story as it is, people are just kind of like fed up with it all, and the crowd seems to be dead around those times. So unfortunately, that might be the P-break match, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think Jamie Hayter loses to Tony Storm. Because I also think they're still building to Tony Storm versus Thunder Rosa for the unification.
I do too, but there's something I think something seriously wrong relationship wise between Rosa and AEW, to be honest.
I don't know. I don't have any clue. Like it's all weird, so it is what it is.
Like, I was watching her interview with Chris Van Fleet, and there was just certain micro expressions and stuff like that when she was talking about AEW and Tony Khan and stuff like that, just kind of triggered something in me. I may be completely wrong. I hope I am,
Well,
but there were triggers.
she'll still come back. She's under contract. She'll still come back. I think that she'll go heel too. I think that when she comes back, she'll go heel.
Oh, if Tony has the belt, she has to.
Well, I mean, I think she'll go heel because you're going to also build Jamie Hayter as a new face. I think Thunder Rosa wins the unification as a heel in a dirty way.
Right.
Hayter will be the one to go after her. But yeah, so I think that Tony wins, and I think that Hayter gets kind of, even if it's accidental, gets accidentally screwed over by Britt Baker.
I'm gonna go with Hater. There's just something telling me once again. Um, the next match is the tournament match. Um, which a lot of that's going to get filled out because right now we're still waiting on the winner
I can
of
tell you.
Lance.
I can tell you who it is. It's
Who
gonna
do you
be
think it's going
Ethan.
to be?
It's I don't think it's gonna be. I know it's gonna be.
Okay.
It's Ethan Page versus Ricky Starks.
See,
There's no way. There's no way Bandito beats Ethan Page. Lance Archer will not beat Ricky Starks. And then Ricky Starks will beat Brian Cage because Brian Cage doesn't matter to AEW. I've already proven that time and time again. And it'll be Ethan Page versus Ricky Starks. That's the thing is, when this tournament was before it was even formed, and it was just a rumor of a tournament, the finals were already put out there that was going to be Ethan Page versus Ricky. Because again, AEW is incredibly predictable. It'll be Ethan Page versus Ricky Starks, and I think Ricky Starks wins. Well, wait. The winner of that depends on the winner of the main event. Hang on. I'm gonna pick Ricky Starks.
You're gonna go Starks?
Just because I think like if no matter who wins, Moxley or MJF, I think Ricky Starks on the mic. Ethan Page is fantastic on the mic. Don't get me wrong, but I think that Ricky Starks will be the much better.
Page is with the firm, right?
I think but he's not. Like it's a weird thing.
Okay,
I don't know.
A weird thing. The firm's a weird thing in all together, anyways.
Yeah.
Like either it's like we kind of are together, but we're not together, but we are together, but we're not together. Whatever.
Like I could see Ethan Page versus John Moxley. That would make sense. I don't know if it would make sense MJF versus Ethan Page. Ricky Starks versus either one of those though makes sense. So I think Ricky Stark wins.
Like Moxley and Starks have had history in the past in AEW. I don't remember any history between Starks and MJF. Because most of the time Starks has been Team Taz, a heel group.
Yeah, but I believe that they have had some spouts on the mic. Maybe. Regardless, I can still see it. I think Ricky Starks.
I'm gonna go Page just to make it funny. Give us a little variety. Acclaimed versus Swerve and Glory. Swerve and Our Glory. I got Acclaimed. I'm going Acclaimed.
I am too.
The reason I'm going Acclaimed is because I'm feeling this is going to be the end of that one of three stories in AEW right now.
Yeah, this could be where the Swerve and Our Glory falls apart. So yeah, I got the Acclaim winning that one.
And the final one, Moxley versus MJF. This one's so hard.
Yeah, this is the first time I've really felt like I didn't know what was going to happen. Because, like I said, they're building MJF to be a babyface, but at the same time, could it be a Swerve, which I feel it is.
I do too.
But, like, does that mean that the Swerve happens and he cheats to win and wins the title finally? Do you already take the title off of John Moxley? You just signed to this huge contract and this bigger deal and all this stuff? And
here's my thing. The reason why I'm picking MJF is you do the swerve, you do the turn, you do the heel return to heel. You give Moxley the time off that he's supposed to have had. You finally let him take his vacation time. You have the firm come in and beat him down. Give him a story reason why he's out. That is my reasoning behind picking MJF.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Plus, it also, like, if Ethan Page doesn't win and Ricky Starks does, it's because Ethan Page is still technically part of the firm and he'll come out and help beat down Moxley.
Right.
So yeah, I would agree. I'm gonna lean more towards MJF. I want him to win it.
Yeah, he deserves it.
He's the person they really should be building the company around, and not like, no offense to Moxley, but it shouldn't be Moxley. he should be there to help build up MJF and build up the company and not be the cornerstone of the company.
Right.
So yeah.
And that's all the matches.
Yeah, this might actually be like a decently length AEW pay-per-view for once.
3 hours.
It might be 4, but it's still better than the 5 or 6 hour ones they've been doing lately. So
I don't know. I honestly, there are matches I am excited to see on this card. It is not
oh
the
yeah, for
card.
sure.
Like recently with WWE, it has been the whole card and the whole event that I have been excited to see. AEW just hasn't been doing it for me that way.
Well, there's definitely some matches on here I'm excited to see. Like I think the 4-way, as much as I love Danielson and I love Claudio, like I feel like the 4-way is going to be a bit of a bullshit clusterfuck. I'm actually excited to see the Cargill Nyla Rose match because I think Nyla Rose is one of the few people that can match Cargill in strength and everything, and thus,
yeah,
that should be an interesting match. I'm interested to see how Saraya looks on her return, and also but that's gonna be one of those like watching from behind the pillows, cringing because I'm so afraid of her hurting herself.
Oh yeah, just like the first time Daniel came back.
I still watch Daniel Bryan matches and Edge matches with like a tinge of like, just like oh, don't do that, don't do that, that kind of stuff. I don't care about the Jay Lethal and Jarrett versus Sting and Darby Allin match. I don't care. That's my pee break match.
I've seen Lethal versus Sting before in Impact.
Well, I just don't care. Luchasaurus versus Jungle Boy should actually be a banger of a match. That should be really good. The Hater Storm match, I'm curious to see how well their chemistry is.
But not excited. I'm just curious.
As long as their chemistry is good, I'm excited. As long as it's I'm excited. Ethan Page versus Ricky Starks might steal the show.
I hope it does.
Because those guys can fucking work and have phenomenal ring psychology. Mm-hmm. I think the acclaim versus Swerve in Our Glory, short of whatever if there is like the turn from Swerve on Lee, I feel like that match is not going to hold up to the other ones they've had.
No,
it's the law of diminishing returns at that point. And like MJF versus Moxley, I think.
I have a feeling.
As long as Moxley's not bleeding within the first 30 seconds, like he is every fucking match, I might actually be invested.
Like
again, law of diminishing returns.
Yeah, I understand, Moxley. You are a fan of the deathmatch type of match. Not everybody is. You don't have to do it.
Well, regardless, like it's even the people who are a fan of it. If you're not doing a death match, it doesn't need to simulate one every single time.
Mm-hmm. And AEW fans got burned on death matches after the exploding ring debacle.
Well, they've had a couple more, but I just think that it's not. I think part of it too is also there's pressure from Warner Brothers Discovery to cut back on the blood and the language. So, but at a pay-per-view, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
But this is a non-stipulation match. It's just a standard wrestling match.
Right.
So how about we not bleed immediately? Let's not just not blade within the first 30 seconds of a match. Let's calm it down. Maybe not color at all. Just wrestle. Let's have that. Maybe. I don't know. It's again law of diminishing returns.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
so. I would have to say, I guess I got to give some kudos to AEW here because it is the least predictable card, only because there's a couple matches I can't fully predict. But every single pay-per-view since the debut of AEW, I have been 100% on my predictions for the matches. Predictably, this one, I'll give him credit. There's a few matches I was like, oh, maybe not. It's kind of up in the air. But that could be if that's true, that's a good thing. That's turning a new leaf. That is moving forward and progressing your company. So that's a positive. As we head into the last half hour here, I'm going to take one more quick break, and we'll be right back after this message. You good? All right, and we are back.
Woohoo!
Why am I not getting any levels all of a sudden?
I have
Let's double check our audio. No, audio's good. Okay.
audio's good. All right, cool,
All
awesome.
right. So, as we
So
roll into the last little bit of the podcast here,
we gave love to AEW and their pay per view. Let's give some little bit of love to the 4 matches that have already been announced for Survivor Series. We've got AJ versus Finn.
that's going to be phenomenal. Not
That's
that was not meant to be a pun, but
no, but it will be an amazing match. I think this is a match that has a lot of, and the thing is, they've been able to acknowledge the history of AJ and Finn. You know, the Bullet Club, all the things they did in New Japan, and all that stuff. So,
and I don't know who wins. Like, let's be
that's
real here. Like,
who needs it more.
You're building Judgment Day up. You're doing all this stuff, but also you've just brought back the
OC.
OC and everything, and
Yeah,
you don't want to like. You keep having them lose. You just brought in Mia Yim to help balance out everything, and
yep.
so oh, I don't know.
The thing is, you don't want it. It's singles match. Yes, it is AJ versus Finn, which means there is a possibility for a disqualification finish. As much as I don't want to see it, as long as it makes sense, it might
When was
be
the
the
last
only
time
way
there
to go.
was? But think about it, when was the last time there was a disqualification finish in WWE?
Oh, you got a point there.
We've had a ton of distraction finishes, but I don't remember there being a disqualification. That's a possibility.
That is a possibility.
I don't know. I can't pick that one yet. I got to see how some more stuff plays out.
I gotta, yeah, honestly. Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi. I will be shocked if Shotzi wins.
He won't win. But part of that is because they're building up Ronda and Shayna, and I believe they're doing their own faction there, so Shotzi won't win. But I love the fact that Shotzi's getting a championship match at fucking Survivor Series. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, that is amazing.
And I'm really hoping they at least allow them to go back and forth, and I hope that they have better chemistry than Liv Morgan and Ronda did.
To me, this match, Shotzi versus Ronda, is going to be for me the whether or not Ronda needs to take a little bit of time off to reevaluate or not. Because if she can't have a good match with Shotzi,
Well, don't forget, Shotzi was the one that people were calling for her head back at that. Oh, when was it? Like 6 months ago, when she had it was like that 6-pack match or something. It was some weird thing, and oh no, it was a ladder match.
Money in the Bank, wasn't it?
It was a women's Money in the Bank, and they're like calling for her head because she messed up and blah blah blah. So it's like, I think Shotzi's a lot better than people give her credit for. Also, those people they need to shut their mouths. They don't know what they're talking about. But like, Ronda's a phenomenal wrestler when she's in the ring with certain people.
Right.
Charlotte, Becky, there's certain people. Yeah, there's certain people that like they can bring out the best in her. But if Ronda's having to carry the match, there seems to be a then again, I've seen her. No, I'm not even gonna say that. I just think she doesn't gel with She's not one of those people who can wrestle a broomstick and make it look good.
Right.
She needs somebody that she has good chemistry with. So hopefully, her and Shotzi have good chemistry in the ring. We'll see how that goes.
We've got the TBT versus TBD men's war games. There is nothing. I mean,
No, isn't it
there's nothing.
I know. No. It's New Day versus. Hold on. Here we go. It'll be the Brawling Brutes Wait, hang on.
I mean, has that officially been announced? I mean, I could see Brawling Brutes and Imperium with Drew on Brawling Brutes, and Imperium picks up
No, it'll
somebody
be
else.
Brawling Brutes versus the Bloodline. With Drew McIntyre joining them,
Why?
but they're doing 5. They'll need another one.
Well, Kevin Owens got hurt, so speedy recovery to Mr. Owens.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll do like a 5-woman one and a 4-man one, so they'll probably do 5-man. So I don't know who else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's because the Brawling Brutes, went after the Bloodline, and then McIntyre joined them to help even the numbers. So it'll be the Brawling Brutes and McIntyre and somebody else versus the Bloodline, which will be, and since Roman doesn't have a championship match, it'll be Roman, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and Solo in there.
So with Kevin Owens out, who do you think is going to be the 5th?
It could be Kevin Owens. He could come back. I don't know.
He's out with knee injury.
As far as I know, he's ready to come back.
It just happened.
He's been out for a while.
Yes, but he just got injured at a house show 2 days ago.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, that's why I've been saying someone else. Because if it
obviously it'll have to be somebody else, but
right. Because if it wasn't for the injury, then he would be my prime suspect for being the 5th, just to help set up the Sami and Kevin Owens tag team future after Sami turns on the Bloodline thing, or gets kicked out, whatever.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Kevin Owens according to this report, but now that he's injured, it's up in the air who it'll be. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. And then we've got Bianca and Friends versus Damage Control with Nikki and Rhea Ripley. But the Bianca and Friends still has a TBD.
Yeah, and there was kind of a big tease last night. It could be Sasha.
Could be. Could be Beth. Could be.
It's not going to be Beth. Beth's going to be out for a while.
Could be.
I can tell you. I can promise you, it's not. Plus, you don't. Rhea Ripley is joining the group solely to go after Mia Yim. You don't then bring in Beth and have her have 2 people she has to contend with.
No, I agree with you story-wise completely.
But also, it's Beth is in story is going to be out for a long time. She took a brass knuckles shot to the face and then a concerto.
Right.
That's something that they'll come back maybe just before the Rumble or at the Rumble.
Johnny's wife's another.
Candace is a possibility.
Right.
I don't know how her injury is going.
I hadn't even heard what it was.
I believe it was her elbow.
Okay.
But the fact that they literally announced it as like this big surprise, like this big deal, this savage person, this massive deal, it feels like it has to be Sasha. I mean, unless they're, and I know that Chelsea Green is supposed to be returning, but that's somebody I think that like it doesn't feel like it would be enough. You'd have to like bring her. You should have brought her. If it was Chelsea Green, she should have been brought back last night.
Yeah,
and had time to build it up.
Or that's Friday night.
Well, I'm sure she'll be on Raw.
Right,
because everybody else is on Raw for that team.
Right, and the thing is, the pay-per-view itself is until the 26th, so they've got a little bit of time.
But not much. You've only got 2 Mondays to go.
Right.
That's why I was saying, like, to make Chelsea feel like a bigger part of it, you would have had to bring her. Like, her showing up at the pay-per-view as that 5th person is not going to get the pop anybody thinks it's going to get. Chelsea Green is great, but she's not going to be
She's
enough
not
of a
Sasha Banks
name.
great.
Yeah, she's not
Yeah,
going to be
she's
enough
not.
of a name to get that pop. Sasha is somebody you could bring in at the pay-per-view when they talk about who's the fifth, and then like she's never in the cage. She's the last person to go in, and then boom, her music hits when it's her turn to go in. Like at the end, she's the last person to get into the cage. Her music hits, she comes out, massive, massive pop.
Yeah. Which, and to me, automatically means that the bad guys are going to get the advantage for the females.
Yeah, I think the damage
So
control gets the advantage, and then they're gonna lose the match. Sasha comes.
yes. In what world do you see damage control winning that match?
It's not Sasha Banks. It could win. Because you could
But
also
why?
continue to. You could also have Bailey pin Bianca again, where seemingly she's able to pin her in group situations, but she can't just get over the hump of beating her in a singles match. So you have story there as well,
Right.
and I'm sure like Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley will end up just kind of going off and doing their own thing in the match, not being a major part of it. Like it'll just be they're going to focus on each other.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see.
I want to see some Belair Ripley spots.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's a title. That's a title fight that should have happened a while ago, but Belair Ripley got hurt.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But they're building to it. This is the downside to the pay-per-view a month situation. But Survivor Series does look like it'll be the last pay-per-view or premium live event of the year. They're going to build into. I'm not sure if day one is still happening or not.
Nope, still canceled.
So
day one is still canceled. So the cages are going to be open cages, and from what some of the dirt sheets are saying and stuff like that, this is going to be a lot of spot fests. So they get highlight reels, so they can start having video packages for the next war games and stuff like that.
Well, that's just dirt sheets being stupid. It's a fucking war games. Of course, there's going to be big spots in it.
Right, but
has anybody ever watched a fucking NXT war games?
There's your problem right there. All the war games in NXT will have AEW guys highlighting them.
Well, no, I know you don't have them for the packages, but like they're all spot fest. Like, and that's what a war games is. It's a massive match that's meant to be kind of a spot fest, but you can still tell a story in that because guess what? Every single one of those NXT war games have massive ring psychology in them, along with the big spots.
Mm-hmm.
Even the last ones, like the Black and Gold versus 2.0 and the women's one, all had story in them. Like you can still do it and have it. It's fuck the dirt sheets. I don't want to hear, oh, it's gonna be a spot fest so they can get highlights. No fucking shit. It's like people who complain about. Do you know who Corp's husband is?
Yeah.
He's a streamer. He's known for Among Us stuff. He's also a great musician. People
Yes.
are like, oh, you only like his music because of his voice. Yeah, no shit. And I only like food because it tastes good. Duh. Why else do you listen to somebody sing? Because you like their fucking voice. Why do you watch a War Games match but to have massive fucking high spot? Like it's a fucking double ringed steel cage match. Of course it's got fucking high spots out the wazoo, and they need to make a new highlight reel. Guess what? They make a highlight reel off of every single one. They have a highlight reel off the last steel cage match between Karrion Kross and fucking Drew McIntyre. That's what you do at a pay-per-view. Fuck, like why? What was the point of even having an article about that? Why? Oh, we're gonna report on the fact that it's gonna be a spot fest, so they can have highlights. It's a fucking War Games. No shit, is it gonna be a spot fest?
I think people would be pissed off if it wasn't a spot
But
fest.
yeah, what are they gonna go there and chain wrestle inside the cage and never use a fucking weapon or jump off the top?
You mean the classic old original WCW War Games?
No, even
that
those are
failed?
spot fests.
No. I'm talking about old school ones, like when the match first got started.
Fucking stupid thing to say. We're gonna thank you, Captain Obvious, for writing the most duh article ever. Like, no shit that it's gonna have a bunch of high spots in it. The fucking War Games. Pat McAfee moonsault off the top of the fucking cage.
Oh, amazing.
Like, come on.
Amazing.
Io Sky put a trash can on herself and then moonsaulted off the fucking cage. Like, what are you talking about? Or Pat McAfee's was a swanton on a moon. Still.
Either way,
Like,
he's
of
still
course, like, there are weapons and tables and giant steel cages and shit. Like, it's gonna be a spot fest. But you can have a spot fest with ring psychology.
mm-hmm.
And these matches do. And they're going to have in this one. What the fuck? Like, that is so stupid. It's so stupid. Oh, it's just going to be a spot fest so they can make new highlights so they can have a highlight reel. What fucking pay-per-view doesn't have a highlight reel? You dumb shit. Like, what the fuck? Where? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, that is the stupidest, most obvious thing. It's a fucking War Games. Of course it has a spot fest. Of course it's going to have tons of over-the-top shit. It's fucking War Games. What are you expecting them to go in there and lock up for 40 minutes and then chain wrestle on an ankle lock or something? What are you even talking about? Stupid fucking dirt sheet. God. Shit, we got to get something out there. God damn. It's so fucking dumb. So dumb. Of course it's a spot fest. Of course it's a fucking spot fest. It's fucking War Game. What are you even, like... Who was that? What dirt sheet was that?
What culture?
Fuck them. I'm gonna find that fucking article. And I'm going to comment. That is the stupidest shit. Like, what do you even mean? Oh, it's going to be a spot. The dirt sheets are reporting. The insiders are telling us it's going to be a spot fest and then get highlights. What are you expecting it to be otherwise? What are you expecting it to be otherwise?
You got really livid about this one.
Because it's fucking stupid. And the dirt sheets are so fucking dumb. That is the stupidest shit. And the thing is, people are going to read that and they're going to, oh, that's just going to be a spot fest. And they're going to get angry at the match before it even fucking happens. Because the dirt sheet said, oh, it's just a spot fest to get highlights. Fuck it, duh! But people are going to shit on it before it even happens now because of that. Because they're reporting it like it's some actual news. Oh, look at this insight we found. Fuck you. That is some horse shit. Of course it's a fucking... in all seriousness, like, what would it be otherwise? What would it possibly be otherwise?
I got no idea.
It is a straight-up gimmick match that lends solely to high spots. Are you going to get in there and have a full-on Greco-Roman wrestling match? No. No. What the... There's going to be tables and kendo sticks, chairs, and trash cans. People jumping off the top. But the one thing that has always happened in WWE since War Games has shown up is that they've had massive ring psychology to go along with it. They've told stories in the match with 1,000 high spots. So they're not strictly spot fest. They just have a lot of high spots because that's the type of match it is. That's like saying an Elimination Chamber is going to have high spots. Or a fucking Hell in a Cell is going to have all... It's going to be a spot fest. That'd be like calling the code in the cell match. Oh, it's a ton of high spots. Fucking shit. Yes, it was a spot fest. It was gimmick filled. That was the point. Like, what? What the fuck? I don't know. It's just it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Breathe. Take a moment. Breathe.
But seriously though, like, where do people get like? This is again the proof that the dirt sheets don't care about facts; they care about clout, and so that when they have a slow news day, they got to come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's throw a wrench in this. We heard it's going to be a spot. Like, shit. What do you think of War Games is? Of course, they're planning a bunch of high spots and they're working through it because that's what you do. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Oh, we're getting close to that time.
Yeah, I think on that note, we're gonna go ahead and call it
Yeah, let's go
because
ahead.
I'm heated. I'm heated now. That's some bullshit. Some bullshit.
Sorry.
What a bullshit
You know
fucking.
what? I am kind of sorry that I brought it up, but then again, I'm also not. Can't get
I
my name right.
fucking. God damn it! Like, what are you even thinking, dirt sheets? That's so stupid.
All right, folks, my name is Jason Hoover. You can get me at Dyson Dishes on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok.
Your sign turned off again.
Mother. There we go. Twitter, Dice_Dishes. Instagram and at TikTok, it is Dice and Dishes, one word. I do comic book stuff too.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it for Wrestling with Toxicity this week. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please make sure you like and subscribe on all the platforms, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, all that good jazz. And we will see you guys next week.
We're good.